She sends me a text. And she said, "Ma, I can hardly breathe."
September 22nd, 2022. 17-year-old Camryn Wheaton passed out at school. The day before, she had taken herself out of a volleyball game for shortness of breath. An asthmatic, Camryn was used to days when her breathing was labored. Her mom, Carmel, was told by EMS they were taking her daughter to Duke Medical Center as a precaution.
EMS says, "We're gonna take her to the hospital. Her blood pressure's a little low, but oh, she's fine. You'll be out of there in no time at all."
At Duke, Camryn's parents arrived ahead of their daughter and were escorted to a waiting room. All was calm until EMS rode Camryn into the ER. Her dad, Wellington, was troubled.
There was a sense of urgency amongst some of the people that had let us in.
More doctors and more machines start coming, so I said, "What's going on?"
One of the medical staff spoke to the Wheatons. Camryn's heart had stopped beating.
She says, "They're giving her chest compressions." I said, "For what?" She said, "She can't breathe." I said, "What do you mean she can't breathe?" They said, "Miss Wheaton, we've been giving her chest compressions and we can't get a pulse."
We were both we just couldn't believe that all of this had happened, just like all of a sudden. So now it's like, what is going on?
Carmel had already reached out to prayer intercessors when Camryn passed out at school. Now, many others joined in to pray for Camryn.
And I said, "God," I say, "this is your child." I said, "I trust you." I said, "If she lives, I trust you. If she dies, I trust you." I said, "God, but I pray it's not your will that you take her today."
Finally, Camryn was resuscitated and placed on a heart-lung machine to keep her alive. As friends and family gathered at the hospital, scans were taken of Camryn's brain, heart, and lungs, looking for answers. Medical staff warned that there was a high risk of brain damage because of the lack of blood flow to her brain.
We did ask if we could go in and see her. She just looked so lifeless, like there was no life in her body.
I just think it just took a deep breath, and you go back to your faith, and she's still alive. She's still alive. So at that point, I'm shifting from one year to the next, and and I'm praising God.
Tests revealed 2 large blood clots in Camryn's lungs. Immediately, she was taken to surgery. 5 hours later, the surgeon spoke to her parents.
He said, "I want to show you what we took out of her." And then he showed me this picture. And he said, "Each one of these specks is a blood clot that was in her lung."
Over 60 blood clots were removed.
I could not believe it. Camryn was a great softball player, volleyball, involved in everything, cheerleading, this, you name it, she's in it, and she's, vibrant. And I'm like, where did this stuff come from? All of this stuff was in her.
Camryn was taken off the vent the next day. A couple days later, she was cutting up with family.
Honestly, I remember waking up in the hospital, but not being like fully awake, because I remember having like the tubes on my face and everything.
To see her, and to see the smile on her face, that was just the greatest feeling of all, that she was okay.
In less than a week, Camryn was home, fully recovered. The cause of the blood clots is still unknown.
A few weeks after I got out of the hospital, when I asked God, I said, "Why did this have to happen to me at this moment, during this time where it's my senior year? I gotta get my college applications in." And I remember him telling me, "Why not? Why can't I show my glory through you at this very moment?" And then I just started bawling out crying, because I was like, okay, this is in his plan. He's got something cooking up, so it's gonna work out.
Camryn graduated that year, and today is attending the University of North Carolina, studying engineering.
At that time, I knew it was the hand of God because everybody was where they needed to be.
I'm like, I truly couldn't tell you what happened. Like, I always say that my mom tells the story better, but I always say, you know, God had a purpose and a plan. And even though, like, I truly don't fully understand it to this day, I still know that it's not really about me and what happened to me, but, like, His glory and what He did.